if I was forced to pick, I'd say.
Pro boxing fans, we're here in Riyadh for the big one. Gareth A Davies, we've been to Riyadh a fair few times now, covered a fair few fights, but this is the one, this is the big one. First of all, how are you? I can't pan down, but you're in your shorts, you've just come out of the swimming pool, how's things?
You dragged me out of the swimming pool and a bit of sunbathing. I can hear the water fountain going behind me. We're in the Crown Plaza Hotel. It's an amazing hotel here. I hear there's about 70 to 100 fans coming to this hotel in the next few days. So we're going to be dragged around and asked what our opinion is on the big fight this weekend. It's great to be here in Riyadh again. It's really, really warm. But, you know, given the temperature in the UK at the moment and the winter we've had, it's lovely to come out here. But it's great to be here involved in a huge event once more.
Let's talk about the fight. I want to break it down with you with a fair few questions about this fight. First of all, let's talk about what happened yesterday, and let's get that out of the way. It seems like John Fury and Team Fury had the altercation with Team Usyk, or whichever way you want to call it. What did you make of that? Is that just the emotion going into a big fight? Did they overstep the mark, do you believe, or what do you think in regards to that?
Well, it was an ugly fracas, there's no question about that, but I think there was a butting heads incident before the headbutt, and you know, it's high jinks and high drama, and John Fury's a very passionate man. I can't condone what he did. I'm sure he isn't himself afterwards, but he seems to live out with great passion when both sons are fighting. Particularly, obviously Roman is now fighting as well, but when Tyson's fighting, no man born of a woman will beat him. You know all those lines. And something bubbles in him that comes to the surface. It was the same. Remember when Tommy fought KSI? If someone's winding John up in those moments, he finds it very hard to control himself. Like, I've just done a big piece in the Telegraph for tomorrow's paper. It's actually out online now. An interview with John that I did a couple of weeks back. And the weird thing about John is something like that can happen, and then he's the calmest man in the room. And you know, volatile is the word, but he's calmly living in the countryside all other times, eating off the land, and you know, obviously he's like Tyson. He's a mixture of things, and you know me, I don't jump down people's throats over anything. So listen, it wasn't savoury. I think apologies have been sent on both sides. It was a really packed room with dozens of cameras, and Usyk, Fury, lots of chanting going on, and very dramatic moment for the week. Some people might say that, was it staged, was it deliberate? But no, it wasn't. It was just passion boiling over. I think it's blown over today. I don't hear of any recriminations or retribution from anyone. But when they sit down, it won't happen today because it's just fighter workouts, but when they sit down on Wednesday and they have the press conference, I think some things will be said. I know Usyk wasn't happy about it, and I think Alex Krasiuk, I think you might have interviewed him as well, wasn't happy about it afterwards, because I think initially he'd felt or had wondered whether it was one of his team had got involved in the altercation, like had started it. So it was high drama. There was the dust up in the desert we weren't expecting before Saturday, and yet yesterday Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk, Usyk as I've called him, I should be calling him Usyk. People are getting very touchy about pronunciation. Were cool as cats yesterday, you know. But it was not. It made international headlines, didn't it?
I think just going off what you're saying, John has sort of apologised in various interviews. You know, both teams, I'm sure it's all quashed. And
yeah, but he also said there's so much to MacLife, or it might have been to you as well. He said it's testosterone, isn't it? I've got it from my head to my boots. And he said, you know, I mean, thank God I didn't hit him with a left hook and a right hand, because I'd have sent him to the promised land. So, but Stanislav Stepchuk took it very well as well. I spoke to him afterwards. He's very cool about it. Been a friend of Oleksandr's for 5 years. But it was, it was drama. It was high drama.
Yeah, what a start to the week. But let's talk about the fight itself. Let's talk about the two behemoth fighters, the kings of the division.
Behemoths. I say behemoths. Behemoths. They are behemoths.
Yeah, they are.
Right,
They're big giants. They are the kings of the division.
Undefeated.
Looking to be undisputed. There's only going to be one man. I think you've said it might be a draw, so we might not get that till the next time. But
look, if I was forced, I would say, if I was forced to pick, I'd say Fury on points or late stoppage. Most of the betting odds have him winning around round 9. That's what the consensus is. But I do just have an instinct on the way they fight and the way they are and the amount of respect you can hear that they have for each other as boxers, that they'll just nullify each other in the end. And I think that I just think they might try and find ascendancy, each of them, but I think they'll be able to nullify the other. I just think they'll have the skill set to do that, and I just think it's going to be a really hard fight to score that will split the judges, and I think one of them will score it a draw, and I think we'll have half the public going, well, I think Usyk won that, and half the public saying, no, I think that was Fury. But a lot of people will be voting with their heart, not their head. But it's a great moment to be involved in. You know, I've been doing this a long time. It's a great moment at a time when investment in the sport is just astronomical.
I spoke to Fraser Clark and he said as well, listen, it's going to be a bit of a chess match in there at times, so do get prepared for that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the narratives leading up to this fight. Just hearing the podcast from Carl Fight and Tony Bellew, and Tony Bellew is a valid person to listen to in this in regards to he's a former opponent of Oleksandr Usyk. And he said something that, you know, in regards to Tyson Fury, where he said Tyson doesn't like smaller movers. He doesn't like people, you know, who fight on the back foot, maybe even counter punches. Have you seen enough of this from Tyson to say that maybe he doesn't like smaller movers or the smaller guys in the division?
Well, I think he's probably referring to the Steve Cunningham fight there, which is a really long time ago, and Cunningham was a smaller cruiserweight, put Fury down with a big right hand down the pipe. But once Fury was in trouble against him, he just got up and he delivered, and he beat Cunningham up and stopped him, hitting him with big shots, which he could do against Usyk if he gets Usyk hurt at all, or Usyk pauses. Tony Bellew's a very fine analyst of a fight, and I've listened to his arguments. In fact, he's done an interview for me that I'll be using later in the week, in which he expounds how Usyk beats Fury, and it is very believable what he's saying, but that's relying on Fury not being able to get hands on Usyk and lean on him, and I do think he looks very lean, Fury, by the way. He might only be, there's rumours that he might be his lightest, one of his lightest, like, you know, just around 19 stone, which he does look incredibly sharp in the jaw, but he's always carrying something here. I mean, he hasn't got a 12-pack, has he? Yeah, I think Tony Bellew makes a very good argument, but I think he's going to make that argument because he's experienced 8 rounds with Usyk where he got ahead in the fight and then he was worn down by the concentration levels that he required against Usyk and found him really difficult. He's in and out with his footwork. I mean, his footwork is extraordinary and he is very aggressive. He's making you work. But will Usyk be able to impose himself and find himself the aggressor against Fury? I don't think so. Fury's got a fine jab, and he's got a 1-2. If Usyk can get out of the way and come around him, then it's possible. He's got a big target to aim at. There's all of that. But people don't give Fury credit for knocking out 75% of his opponents either. And I think we saw there were moments in the Daniel Dubois fight, and you can argue about Daniel Dubois, and there were moments in the second Anthony Joshua fight, and again you can argue about Anthony Joshua. Both Dubois and Joshua maybe hit harder than Fury, but Fury can hit hard enough. The trouble is, what we remember right now is those 10 rounds that he had against Ngannou, where he looked appalling, but I think that bad night sharpened him up. I just think we're going to get 12 rounds of really absorbing chess after both men have tried to get ascendancy, and it's who makes the alterations and shifts the patterns, who may just edge the fight, in my view, rather than even take over. You talk to Fury's camp, And they say no, he's going to walk through him. He's going to find a way. He's going to put it on him at some point. And I do think he needs to put it on him at some point. And if he does put it on him and gives him a hard time, he could fold Usyk. But it's getting to him and making that sustained and hurting him and getting him down and keeping him down in that way.
You sort of answered one of my questions there. One of my questions was going to be that does Fury need to be a bit dirty, lean on him, put him against the ropes? Does he need to impose his weight on Usyk and maybe slow him down? Another one that's sort of been thrown about closer we get to this fight is that Oleksandr Usyk's body is weak. He's, suspect to a body shot which he doesn't like. Have you seen enough of that for you to say that he's maybe weak at the body?
Well, I'm on record as saying I thought Daniel Dubois hit him with a controversial low blow. It was definitely on the borderline of low. Excuse me. Need that coffee. But I do think Usyk was having a milking moment. That's just my view. I thought he tried to milk that moment, but absolutely entitled to. I thought Daniel Dubois was dangerous early in that fight, and he clearly had targeted the body. Dirty. We haven't seen Tyson Fury dirty, although he did hit Ngannou with an elbow, didn't he? I don't know if it was deliberate, but I don't think we ever got a chance to ask him, did we? Well, we haven't asked him. He's not a dirty fighter, Tyson Fury. I don't recall him being a dirty fighter. But he is good at leaning on, he is good at holding on his opponent and putting his weight on him. He's clever at that. And he's got a very good 1-2 in that way. And he does feint a lot. I'm sure he's targeting. I'm sure they've worked on targeting Usyk's body, because there are weaknesses there. Just like Fury's more hittable than he used to be. He's not the guy that fought Wilder in the first fight who was very elusive. He stands up more. Maybe he's lighter this time to be on his feet a little more and use the ring more. I imagine it'll be a big ring. I don't know yet, I haven't asked. We shall see a little bit tonight when we get down. I know we're going to the Boulevard tonight for the grand arrival. All we'll see is the purple carpet, and lots of roses and drama and glamour, rather. See, when I close my eyes, I just see them holding each other off. I don't see a lot landing. We don't know if these... Fury's 36 in August. Usyk's 37, coming up 38. They're not the youngest things they ever were. Like, he's got 30 rounds with Wilder under his belt. Admittedly, the middle fight for 7 rounds, he dominated. 10 hard rounds against Ngannou. 12 rounds against Tom Schwartz, against Otto Wallin. Or 10 or 12. I think it was 12. Usyk's been around a long time. A lot of amateur fights. It's all led to this moment. I mean, neither of them talk about the legacy of the Undisputed being the most important thing to them. I think it maybe is to us, because we haven't had it for 25 years. So those of us documenting the sports are insistent that this is the big one for both of them. And if you look at the potential purse, it's enormous. $118 million, $150 million. $100 million pretty much for Tyson Fury. $50 million for Oleksandr Usyk. Now, people can argue the toss over is one being paid more, or as His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh said out loud when we went to Morecambe for the press conference, you're the most expensive, but you are the beautiful diamond. And without that beautiful diamond, I don't think we'd be here. I think Fury is the catalyst for these big fights, the investment in Saudi Arabia, because they saw someone. Of course, Usyk crosses over to the mainstream in lots of ways, but in Fury, they saw someone that really crosses over into the mainstream. Who, look at the Netflix series, 500 million people, I think, watched it. You look at the 3 or 4 books, the bestsellers, just the drama he creates wherever he goes. You mentioned John just now, the entourage he brings with him, how fascinating they all are, how he stretches, how he brings Frank Warren and Bob Arum together promotionally, how he conquered America, how he conquered his own depression for some time and being 29 stone. I mean, I was there documenting the comeback of that. I was there when he fought Klitschko. I was there when he made his debut. So I know the whole journey, and it is an extraordinary one. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think that happens when you get very famous and silk pyjamas are hanging in your wardrobe. But he's quite a simple man in one way, rather like John.
Yeah.
He likes simple pleasures in one way, but he also embraces fame and the everyman in the street. He doesn't need. I think when he goes home, I don't think he has security guards all around him. Yeah, he's such an interesting character. We'll miss him when he's gone. We will miss him. He might only have 3 more fights, the 2 Usyk fights and the Joshua fight. In my view, he only needs to have the 2 Usyk fights and the Anthony Joshua fight. I've used this term a few times, and bring his cloak of invincibility 3 more times, and he's cleaned up the era.
Final one on this fight. Everyone's talking about, has Tyson declined? Is Oleksandr maybe past his best, or whatever else? But, you know, there's all these questions leading up to a big fight. For me, I want to ask you, the best Tyson Fury and the best Oleksandr Usyk, who wins? Regardless of age, regardless at the peak, the best Usyk, the best Fury, who wins?
Best Usyk versus the best Fury is going to be a controversial draw. But as I said before, if you have to force me, Fury on points or by late stoppage. But I just have a feeling that it's just going to be very, very close. But I'd have to go for Fury if you're forcing me, as you are, yeah. And
Okay.
the best Fury always finds a way, or he has so far.
Cool. All right, let's move on.
And I think it's mirrored. Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield are here. I think it's mirrored, even though people don't always agree, and I don't, with the outcomes of the 2 fights. I thought Lennox Lewis won the first fight against Evander Holyfield. I mean, the points, the punch count was enormous. And I think there's an argument. Sorry, I thought did I say Holyfield? No. I think there's an argument that, God, I'm so tired. Hang on. Yeah, I think Lennox won the first fight, and I think there's an argument that Holyfield won the second.
Let's move away from this one.
That's the right way around. I'm trying to remember now. Haven't had enough sleep. Do you know all our events here are 9 in the evening till midnight? And we've got to travel to a hotel to get on a bus to... Well, we do today anyway. I think I'm going to be going there myself after I've got my pass. Boulevard City, baby. Do you know where we're going to be in Boulevard City or not?
Music World.
Oh, Music World. Oh, I love it. I haven't been there yet. Have you? Looking forward to it.
Let's talk about a few bits of news before...
Burn, burn, their ring of fire. Johnny Cash is going to be there. Or in some form.